This is the Wellness Debate with your host Woz. Are you confused by health and wellness and don't know what you should be doing to live a long, healthy life? Well, we're here to sort through the truth, myths, and choices to make your journey a little smoother. We'll give you real guidance on your well-being, share both sides of the story, and leave the decision in your hands. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's explore the world of wellness together.
Hey there, and thanks for joining us. You've joined the Wellness Debate, and I'm your host, Woz. Most of the time when people talk about health and wellness, they talk about making better food choices, moving more, and also, making sure you get enough sleep. But what about our financial health? Stressing about paying the bills, getting ahead, planning now, and then living now and planning for retirement are all things that can take its toll on your physical and mental health. So today I'm joined by Rodney Bull, who is podcast host of The Rodney Bull Show. And he's going to share some wisdom about having a look at your financial health and what you may be able to do to take steps to get you heading in the right direction. Hey, Rodney, how are you?
Hey, Woz. How you going, mate? Thanks for having us on your show, mate.
It's my pleasure. It's something I think we all need to learn a little bit about, financial health. It's a big part. Rising cost of living and, living paycheck to paycheck, a lot of people. So if we can help some people, that'd be really good.
Yeah, for sure, mate. For sure. It's tough out there.
All right. So just to get us started, obviously, as I mentioned, you're a host of the Rodney Bull Show, where you talk about, finances and systems. If the listeners were tuning into one of your shows, what might they hear about?
Well, ultimately, mate, the Rodney Bull Show is exposing, bringing the truth about money that we were never taught, mate. So first and foremost, if you want to come and listen to my show, mate, that's what you're going to be learning about. All aspects of the financial system and monetary system, how money works in our world, and the banking system at large, investing, covers all aspects of it, mate. And it's all tied into ultimately into our health, mate, because without good health, then you got no chance of building true financial wealth.
All right. Well, it sounds interesting. So we'll have to check out some of your episodes. But for today, can you share a little bit about your background growing up in rural Queensland and what shaped your views that you've got around finances now?
Yeah, mate. I'm your typical Aussie battler, mate. I grew up on a big cattle station in Western Queensland, in Australia. Very large cattle station, actually. It was about 5,000 square miles. I had a pretty big backyard as a kid.
Okay.
So I grew up there doing that, dealing with cattle and whatnot. And my parents were hard-working battlers all their lives, mate. We left there and we moved into Townsville, and we had our own milk run. Dad used to work that job and work in a mechanic shop as well. So my mum worked waitressing and all that sort of stuff. We ended up going up north, far north Queensland, and we had our own gold mining show. So we were digging real money out of the ground. I didn't know it back then, mate, but I know it today to be real money. So, and ultimately spent, to finish my schooling up there and started met my wife and started a young family. Worked many jobs, farm jobs, rural agricultural jobs, and ultimately got into the mining industry as well. And have been working in both them two fields throughout most of my career, mate. And so there's a lot of aspects of agriculture and the mining industry that give you a fair sort of education around money and finances and the differences,
Yeah. So what was the turning point for you, that woke you up to follow this track that you're following now?
I guess probably started a long time ago for me when I was a kid. I can remember sitting down watching my mum divvying up my dad's wages in cash back in the day, in cash and
the good
coins.
Old days.
Yeah, mate. Got to keep cash alive.
That's right.
Had a heap of envelopes that she used to have all the different bills written out on the envelopes and handing out, divvying out the money into them different envelopes, mate, so trying to stretch a dollar as far as I can. My dad always said he used to make the jam, bring the jam home, and Mum would spread it around. So, and she spread it pretty thin, I can tell you now. She made it go the distance. So that,
Oh,
learning them back then, and then going forward into the future, got into the mining game, started earning good money, and people around me seeing what people did with that money. Some people did exceptionally good things with that money, and other people didn't. They just burnt through that money as fast as they could. Which was
yeah,
the different aspects of how things work for different people. And it comes down to education. The COVID times was a big eye opener and a big awakening for me, as I think it was for a lot of people, mate. And
okay.
so it marched me off down the road of really digging into the financial system and becoming to understand how it works and how it's been designed to work. And unfortunately, that's not in our favour.
Yeah. I know we spoke briefly before we started recording. You mentioned the difference between currency like the Aussie dollar and real money like gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Can you explain a little bit more of what you mean about that?
Yeah, mate. It's a big question and a very, very pivotal question that people really need to understand. I never understood it for myself for a long time, mate, until I started getting the education that I needed to get for myself around that. So,
Yeah,
um, the dollar, Aussie dollar, the US dollar, the English pound, Swiss franc, they're all government country money. They are what you call a fiat currency. So fiat meaning by dictate. So it's dictate by decree by government to class it as money for people to use. It's what you and me have known as money all our lives: $20 bills, $50 bills,
yeah,
50-cent pieces and all that. It's not real money, mate, because real money is gold and silver. It's been money on planet Earth for humanity for over 5,000 years. We've been steered away from it quite harshly in the last 150 years or so. So my time of being alive and yours, my parents and grandparents' time, they seen a change in the monetary system, but real money, which is gold and silver, and today now Bitcoin is ultimately a digital money, and it's a currency that has been produced by mankind as such, whereas gold and silver was put here by God.
yeah.
Real money is meant to and does preserve your purchasing power over long periods of time, whereas the money that we know to be money, fiat currency, paper money and coins, does not do that, mate, because they just print more and more of it over time. So the more they print, the more it dilutes each unit of currency that is already out in the market. And hence the reason since COVID happening, they printed an insane amount of money to get the world through COVID because they shut the whole world down, so industries weren't working, people weren't working. And
Yeah.
that's why you've seen the inflation that we've seen and the cost of living over the last 4 or 5 years escalate to the point now where a lot of people are really struggling.
So a lot of that's caused from the fact that they just printed money. I mean,
Mate. That's not the whole reason, but it's a major part of the reason because, like I said,
okay.
the more they print, the more it dilutes the units of currency that are already out there. So, just for maybe a little better understanding for people to understand, back in 2022, September of 2022, I put in a bullion order and gold was just over $2,400 an ounce then.
Yeah.
Now, today, currently, about a week or so ago, it cracked over 6,000 Aussie dollars an ounce for an ounce of
Wow.
gold.
Yeah.
Now, nothing has changed about that ounce of gold since 2022 to now, and nothing's changed about that ounce of gold from back in the Roman days to now. It's still the same ounce of gold. But all that's changed is that because of how much money they have printed and put it into the system, now it takes 6,000 Aussie dollars to buy an ounce of gold instead of 2,400 Aussie dollars to buy an ounce of gold. So
Okay.
that's how much purchasing power you have lost with your fiat currency, as opposed to gold and silver as being real money, which holds and preserves your purchasing power over long periods of time.
Okay. Well, if they want to print just a little bit more, they can send some my way and then they can stop. Because obviously it sounds like what you're saying, it's not a good thing to continually print money. But, I take a little bit first before they stop, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, convert it into real money, mate, and you'll be even better.
I'll have to get some tips from you where else I should put my money. Obviously, the bank's not cutting it with the interest rate. So,
No, definitely not.
all right. You're involved with the Rebull Edge. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Yeah, mate, it's Rebel Edge, pronounced Rebel Edge, even though it
Rebel,
reads
yeah,
as Rebel. But yeah, it's a play on words, mate.
yeah,
So yeah, mate, it's something that I'm trying in the midst of developing. I'm trying to develop a financial education business and
okay,
tie it in and linked in with my podcast
yeah,
as well. The two of them hand in hand. So ultimately, Rebel Edge will be, and it's going to be quite diverse, because it's going to be an educational system to educate and teach people about money and finances, and how to be able to preserve your wealth and build freedom and legacy for yourself and your family, future generations going forward. And that will have a second link to it, which is what we're talking about today, which is health as well, tied into wealth, mate, because they go hand in hand with each other, and you can't have one without the other.
yeah. The legacy and generational wealth there. I mean, what's your thoughts or your views on creating that for people to leave behind, basically, I guess.
Yeah, well, for me, that's exactly where the gold and silver and the Bitcoin come into play. Bitcoin's very young, mate. It's only been in existence 15, 16 years,
Yep.
but and it's very volatile, whereas gold and silver isn't predominantly very volatile, but they preserve your wealth over long periods of time. And so ultimately, the goal, or for me, outside of a major life catastrophe or world catastrophe, I will be saving and preserving my wealth in them three assets over my lifetime, and hope to never have to actually tap into them and utilize them as such, and hand them on to my children and educate my children and my grandchildren to be smart enough to continue to build on them as well, mate, and can continue to hand them on down the line. With true
Yeah.
generational legacy wealth, if you go and have a look back through all the long-standing super wealthy families throughout the world and throughout history, gold and silver predominantly have always been one of the main ways that families have built and handed on legacy wealth up to 300 years easily through them vehicles.
Yeah. Just one question, obviously, if you don't want to tap into it, but if you do have to tap into it, I mean, I guess money's in the bank, you go to the bank, you take it out, whether it be an ATM or if you can find a branch that's still open, you can go and,
Yeah, good luck with that.
take some real money out if that's what you need. But if you needed to tap into it for something that did come up, gold, how do you are there obviously gold resellers? You just go somewhere and say, I want to offload an ounce, or how does that work?
Yeah, mate. Well, you've got a few different options. You can either sell back to the original dealer that you bought from, and they will always buy back from you. Or you can go. There's plenty of coin shops around in most major cities. You will find several gold and silver dealership bullion shops around, so you can go in there if you've actually got some in your possession personally. You can take it in there and just cash it in, mate. It's liquid, and it's liquid anywhere in the world. Like, you could travel overseas and have an ounce of gold in your pocket as like a little safety net for yourself if you ended up in any sort of a situation where you needed some money, or you didn't have enough of their currency in that country or whatever. Like many people, lives have been saved by a gold coin throughout history of being able to get through the border guards, to get out of a country if there's trouble or anything like that. But anywhere in the world, gold is worth and respected the same. It's just the valuation of the fiat currency that changes from country to country. So here in Australia, currently it's $6,000 an ounce. Aussie dollars in America, it's about $3,600 an ounce if you converted it back into their currency.
Yep.
So, but it's very liquid, mate. It's not quite as liquid as going to an ATM machine, or like you said, a bank branch, walking into a branch and taking cash out if you can find a branch that's open.
Yep.
But if you have a coin shop in your town or city that you live in, you can walk in there and hand it over the counter, and they will put the spot price money for that in fiat currency cash in your hand then and there. Yeah. Or you could sell back to who you buy from, and then in a matter of a couple of days, the money will be in your bank.
So do they physically, when you said before you put your bullion order in, do they send you a little gold nugget or a little gold coin or something to say,
yeah, mate,
this is now yours?
Yep. Comes in the mail, mate, and you end up with it in the palm of your hand, which is exactly where you want it, because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And that's what most people don't understand. Your money in the bank is not your money. Once you put your money in the bank, it's the bank's money.
Yeah, and they do what they want with it. And then when you want it back, you've got to jump through hoops sometimes and say what you need it for if you're taking over a certain amount. And yeah, it's certainly changed rules and regulations. I mean, my first job out of school was in a bank. And people, as you say before, people would come in and they'd cash a check to get the wages. So we would give them the cash because they would take it back to the office and they would divvy it up into envelopes. And I still remember getting
the little yellow envelopes, mate. Yeah, I had plenty of them when I was a young fella.
So yeah, people today will be thinking, what? You got paid in an envelope? So it's like if you don't go to work, you don't get paid on paydays. So that was one good reason, obviously, to go to work on payday, because nowadays it's just in your bank account. Fall in sick, you still get paid, but if you don't go to work, no envelope until you turn up. So it's a bit different now.
That's dead right, man. Yeah, no, it's spot on, mate. And that's the thing; it's all digital today, and it's convenience and of ease of use for transactions, and for that side of it, the digital world is fantastic. It's very fast. It's very easy. In that sense, but it has a downside to it too, because most people just either tap and go with their key card, or they've got their key card in their phone, downloaded into their phone, and they just use their phone tapping and going on an FPOS machine. When you're doing that transaction, it doesn't actually compute in your mind that you're spending that money. And that's why a lot of people get out of control with their spending and end up in problematic positions with their finances, because it doesn't actually compute in your mind that you're spending the money that you're spending. Whereas if you went to the ATM and you took a heap of cash out and had it in your wallet, and then you went around town doing some shopping or paying your bills, and say you went and pulled $500 out in cash, and then you went shopping and go and buy a grocery trolley full of shopping of today at Woolies or wherever, Coles, and you got to pay for it. You're looking $350, $400 for a full trolley, easy. You pay that with the cash, you really notice. You've just had $500 in cash in your wallet, and then you hand over $400. You got $100 left.
Yeah,
and it actually really computes in your mind. What you've just handed that money over, that hard-earned cash that you just spent a week earning, working for. Whereas if you're paying it with tap and go or with a key card or your phone, it just does not compute in your mind that you're actually spending that money.
So that's when you're standing at the checkout and you look at the bill adding up and you go, "Oh, I'll put that back. I don't really need that today," because you're going to spend the money. So
dead right. And that's why, as far as going and shopping just for personal items and things like that, if you're using cash to go and buy something with, you'll think long and hard about it before you actually purchase that item, whether you actually really need it or really want it, as opposed to just tapping and going and paying for it through the digital system. Because it doesn't compute. You don't think about it. You're just like, I want it, You don't really think about whether you actually need it.
Okay, cool. Just one last thing before we start to wrap up. For someone listening right now who may be new to this or overwhelmed with either what you've said or their own financial position, I mean, what are either a basic step that they can take first off to get them on the path to financial freedom down the track?
Yeah, well, there's a few different avenues. First and foremost, you could come and listen to my podcast and lead yourself into Rebel Edge.
Yeah, it's the Rodney Bull show. Mate. Don't remember the Rodney Bull show.
So, and come and get yourself some education a bit about, and especially first and foremost, you need to learn to understand the difference between currency and money. And what we've been growing up to understand is money is not money; it's currency. It's fiat currency. Real money is gold and silver. Yep. And now today we have Bitcoin as well in the digital space. And that's the space that we're going down. So first and foremost, I would say, come and get yourself some education about that, mate. Because that when you become to understand the real differences between money and currency, you won't want to be saving in currency anymore. Yep. You'll be wanting to save and preserve your hard-earned wealth in real money. And ultimately preserve your purchasing power over long periods of time.
Yeah. All right. Sage advice for all our listeners. If they want to know more, obviously the Rodney Bull Show is a podcast. Can they find you anywhere else on the socials or on website or?
Yeah, just building a website at the moment, mate. And it'll be up and running in the not too distant future. And then we'll be on socials such as Facebook and probably Instagram and LinkedIn.
It'll be under the Rodney Bull Show or Rebel Edge?
Or Rebel Edge, yeah, mate. Yep. Okay. Either or both combined.
All right. And Rebel, for those listening, it's REBULL, Edge. So, So anyways, to get yourself some education, head over and listen to what Rodney has to say and see if you can change your circumstances around your financial wealth, which will obviously impact your financial or health as well as your physical health. So it's been a pleasure to have you on. It's good chatting to you. I've learnt some things. I need to go and see how much gold I can afford. And but it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Woz. It's been fabulous being on here with you today, mate.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Cheers, Woz. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to The Wellness Debate. Truth, myths, choices, where we explore both sides of health to help you make informed decisions. If you found this episode helpful, hit subscribe so you'll always catch the latest conversations and leave us a review to let us know how we're doing. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep searching for your own path to wellness.